Remember when radio was king and every song told a story? The 1960s gave us musical treasures that somehow slipped through the cracks of classic rock playlists and oldie stations. So today, we're uncovering 15 songs from the 1960s you forgot were awesome. Number 15, Friday on My Mind, by the Easy Beats. The year was 1966, and while British bands dominated American airwaves, something special was brewing in Australia. The Easy Beats crafted this working-class anthem that perfectly captured the universal feeling of anticipation for the weekend. Written by Harry Vanda and George Young, the song's driving beat and infectious energy made it a worldwide hit, reaching number 16 on the Billboard Hot 100. What made this song special wasn't just its catchy hook, it was the way it spoke to ordinary people living ordinary lives. The Easy Beats understood that music could be both sophisticated and relatable. The song's success paved the way for other Australian acts, though few would match its perfect blend of garage rock grit and pop sensibility. The band's story is equally fascinating. Formed by Dutch and British immigrants in Sydney, they represented the multicultural spirit that would define much of the decade's music. Their success proved that great rock and roll could come from anywhere, a lesson that would resonate throughout the music world. Number 14, Time of the Season, by the Zombies, released in 1968.
It's the time of the season.
This psychedelic masterpiece almost never saw the light of day. The Zombies had already disbanded when their album Odyssey and Oracle was released, and Time of the Season wasn't even chosen as the original single. It was only after a radio DJ in the Philippines started playing it that American stations took notice. Rod Argent's hypnotic keyboard work and Colin Blunstone's ethereal vocals created something that sounded like nothing else on the radio. The song's mysterious, almost otherworldly quality perfectly captured the experimental spirit of the late 60s. Its success was entirely posthumous for the band's original lineup, making it one of rock's most bittersweet success stories. The song's influence extended far beyond its chart performance. Its unique sound would inspire countless psychedelic and progressive rock bands in the decades that followed. The fact that it took a chance discovery halfway around the world for this masterpiece to find its audience speaks to the serendipitous nature of how great music sometimes finds its way to us. Number 13, Pictures of Matchstick Men, by Status Quo. Before Status Quo became known for their three-chord boogie rock, they created this psychedelic gem in 1968. Francis Rossi was just 18 when he wrote this haunting track, which became their only major hit in the United States, reaching number 12 on the Billboard Hot 100. The song's distinctive tremolo guitar effect and dreamlike quality made it stand out in an era already filled with experimental sounds. Its success in America was particularly notable because British psychedelic acts often struggled to find audiences across the Atlantic. The track proved that innovation could come from unexpected sources, a young band from London who would later abandon psychedelia entirely. What's remarkable about this song is how it captured a specific moment in musical history. The late 60s were a time when bands were pushing boundaries, and Pictures of Matchstick Men represented the perfect marriage of pop accessibility and psychedelic experimentation. It remains a testament to the creative possibilities that existed during this revolutionary period in music. Number 12, White Rabbit, by Jefferson Airplane. While Jefferson Airplane is remembered as a key part of the San Francisco sound, White Rabbit, from 1967, often gets overshadowed by other counterculture anthems. Grace Slick's powerhouse vocals and the song's Alice in Wonderland imagery created something both literary and primal.
And if you go chasing rabbits.
The song's Spanish-influenced musical arrangement, inspired by Ravel's Bolero, gave it a classical sophistication that set it apart from typical rock fare. Slick wrote the song before joining Jefferson Airplane, drawing inspiration from Lewis Carroll's stories and the changing consciousness of the times. The track's building intensity perfectly matched the revolutionary spirit of the Summer of Love. What made White Rabbit particularly powerful was its fearless embrace of controversial themes. At a time when many artists spoke in metaphors, Slick was direct about altered consciousness and questioning authority. The song became an anthem for a generation that was ready to challenge everything their parents' generation had accepted without question. Number 11, For What It's Worth, by Buffalo Springfield.
There's something happening here.
Stephen Stills wrote this protest song in 1966 after witnessing riots on the Sunset Strip, but its message transcended its specific origins. The song's gentle melody contrasted with its urgent message about social unrest and generational conflict, creating one of the most effective protest songs of the era.
Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
Buffalo Springfield was a supergroup before the term existed, featuring future legends like Neil Young and Stephen Stills. For What It's Worth became their biggest hit, reaching number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100. But the band's internal tensions prevented them from capitalizing on their success. They disbanded in 1968, just as their influence was beginning to be felt.
Stop, children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
The song's enduring power lies in its universal appeal. While written about specific events in Los Angeles, its themes of youth alienation and social unrest could apply to any era. The haunting refrain and measured delivery made it more impactful than more aggressive protest songs, proving that sometimes the most powerful statements are made quietly.
Step out of line, the man come and take you away.
Number 10, Gimme Some Lovin', by the Spencer Davis Group. When this song exploded onto the scene in 1966, few listeners realized that the powerful vocals came from 18-year-old Steve Winwood. The Spencer Davis Group created a perfect storm of soul, rock, and pop that made Gimme Some Lovin' an international sensation, reaching number 7 in the United States. The song's driving organ and relentless energy captured the excitement of mid-60s rock. Winwood's mature vocal delivery belied his age, and his Hammond organ work provided the perfect foundation for this celebration of pure musical joy. The track became a blueprint for the kind of blue-eyed soul that would influence countless bands. What's remarkable about this song is how it bridges different musical worlds. It had the accessibility of pop, the grittiness of rock, and the emotional depth of soul music. The Spencer Davis Group proved that British musicians could authentically interpret American soul music, paving the way for later acts like Traffic, which Winwood would form after leaving the group.
Give me some love, give me some love, give me some love.
Number 9, Come On Down to My Boat, by Every Mother's Son.
She sits on a dock, fishing in the water,
This 1967 hit perfectly captured the optimistic spirit of the mid-60s folk rock movement. Every Mother's Son, a New York-based group, created a song that was both gentle and infectious, reaching number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100 with their invitation to escapism and togetherness.
Come on down to my boat, baby. Come on.
The song's nautical theme and harmonious vocals reflected the period's fascination with both folk traditions and psychedelic imagery. Written by Jerry Goldstein and Wes Farrell, it represented the commercialization of the folk movement, but in the best possible way. The track proved that meaningful music could also be completely accessible.
Smiles so nice, like she wants to come with me,
Every Mother's Son never duplicated this success, making them classic one-hit wonders. But Come On Down to My Boat endures as a perfect time capsule of 1967's optimistic spirit. It captured a moment when peace, love, and understanding seemed not just possible, but inevitable, before the darker realities of the late 60s set in.
Come on down where we can play.
Number 8. Dirty Water by the Standells. Long before punk rock existed, the Standells were creating raw, aggressive music that predicted the genre's arrival. Dirty Water, released in 1966, became an unlikely anthem for Boston, despite being written by Ed Cobb, a Los Angeles songwriter who had never even visited the city.
Well, I love that dirty water.
The song's garage rock sound and rebellious attitude made it a favorite among kids who felt disconnected from the polished pop dominating the airwaves. Dick Dodd's sneering vocals and the band's primitive but effective instrumentation created something that felt authentically dangerous in an era of manufactured teen idols.
Boston, you're my home.
What's fascinating about Dirty Water is how it became more famous over time. Initially a regional hit, it gained new life in the 1980s, when Boston sports teams adopted it as their victory song. The track's enduring popularity proves that sometimes the most authentic expressions of rebellion take decades to find their proper appreciation.
But I'm wishing and hoping.
Number 7. I Had Too Much to Dream, Last Night, by the Electric Prunes. The Electric Prunes created one of the most distinctive sounds of 1966 with this psychedelic masterpiece. The song's innovative use of distortion and effects, particularly the fuzz-wah guitar sound, made it unlike anything else on the radio. It reached number 11 on the Billboard Hot 100, proving that experimental music could find a mainstream audience. Producer Dave Hassinger encouraged the band to push sonic boundaries, and the result was a track that sounded like it came from the future. The combination of conventional pop structure with radical production techniques created something that was both accessible and genuinely innovative. The song became a blueprint for psychedelic rock production. The Electric Prunes' story is typical of many 60s bands: brief success, followed by obscurity. But I Had Too Much to Dream, Last Night, left an indelible mark on rock music. Its influence can be heard in everything from punk rock to alternative music, proving that innovation often comes from unexpected places. Number 6. Incense and Peppermints by Strawberry Alarm Clock.
Good sense, innocence, crippling mankind. Dead.
When this song hit number 1 in 1967, it perfectly captured the summer of love's psychedelic spirit. Strawberry Alarm Clock, a Los Angeles band originally called the Sixpence, created a track that was both commercially successful and authentically trippy.
Incense and peppermints, the color of time. Who cares?
The song's swirling organ, mysterious vocals, and enigmatic lyrics made it the perfect soundtrack for an era of expanding consciousness. What many listeners didn't know was that the distinctive lead vocals weren't performed by any band member, but by session musician Greg Munford, adding another layer of mystery to an already mysterious song.
Incense and peppermints, meaningless nouns. Turn on.
Incense and Peppermints represented the mainstream acceptance of psychedelic music. Its success proved that American audiences were ready for music that challenged conventional structures and embraced experimental sounds. The song remains one of the most authentic expressions of the psychedelic era's optimistic, exploratory spirit.
Look at yourself, look at yourself, yeah.
Number 5. Kind of a Drag by the Buckinghams.
Kind of a drag when your baby don't.
Chicago's contribution to the British invasion came in the form of the Buckinghams, whose Kind of a Drag reached number 1 in 1967. The song's smooth harmonies and polished production showed that American bands could compete with their British counterparts without simply copying their sound. The track's sophisticated arrangement and Dennis Tufano's emotional vocals created something that was both commercially appealing and musically substantial. Producer James William Guercio, who would later work with Chicago, helped craft a sound that was distinctly American, while incorporating the best elements of the British invasion. The Buckinghams proved that regional scenes could produce national hits. Their success opened doors for other Midwest bands and showed that the music industry was becoming more democratized. Kind of a Drag remains a perfect example of how local talent could achieve international success during the industry's most creative period. Number 4. Bend Me, Shape Me by The American Breed. This 1967 hit showcased the American Breed's ability to blend rock, soul, and pop into something uniquely their own. The Chicago-based band took a song written by Scott English and Larry Weiss and transformed it into a driving, infectious anthem that reached number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100. The song's relentless energy and memorable hook made it perfect for the dance floors of the late 60s. Gary Loizzo's powerful vocals and the band's tight arrangement created something that was both musically sophisticated and immediately accessible. The track proved that American bands were finding their own voice in the wake of the British invasion. The American Breed's success was part of a larger movement of regional American bands reclaiming their place in rock music. Their ability to combine different musical influences into something cohesive and exciting showed that innovation was happening everywhere, not just in the music industry's traditional centers. Number 3. Green Tambourine by the Lemon Pipers.
Drop your silver in my tambourine.
The year 1967 brought us this unexpected gem from Ohio's Lemon Pipers. Green Tambourine reached number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, proving that psychedelic pop could come from anywhere. The song's distinctive sitar-like guitar sound and Eastern-influenced melody created something that was both exotic and accessible.
Watch the jingle jangle start to shine.
Written by Paul Lika and Shelley Pins, the song represented the mainstream absorption of Indian musical influences that the Beatles had introduced to rock music. The Lemon Pipers transformed these influences into something uniquely American, creating a track that captured the era's fascination with Eastern philosophy and music.
My green tambourine.
The band's story reflects the volatile nature of 60s success. They achieved massive success with this single but struggled to follow it up, eventually disbanding as musical tastes shifted toward heavier sounds. Green Tambourine remains a perfect snapshot of 1967's optimistic, experimental spirit.
Money feeds my music machine.
Number 2. Somebody to Love by Jefferson Airplane. While White Rabbit gets more attention, Somebody to Love was actually Jefferson Airplane's bigger hit, reaching number 5 in 1967. Grace Slick brought this song with her when she joined the band from the Great Society, transforming it from a folk ballad into a psychedelic rock anthem.
Don't you want somebody to love? Don't you?
The song's call and response structure and powerful vocals made it an instant classic of the San Francisco sound. Its theme of seeking connection in an alienating world resonated with listeners who were questioning traditional values and seeking new forms of community. The track became an anthem for the counterculture movement. Jefferson Airplane's performance of this song at major festivals and concerts helped define the sound of the late 60s. Their ability to combine folk traditions with rock innovation created something that was both revolutionary and deeply rooted in American musical traditions.
You better find somebody to love.
Number 1. Happy Together by The Turtles.
Imagine me and you, I do. I think about you.
Nothing captured the pure joy of 1960s pop better than The Turtles' Happy Together. Released in 1967, This perfect 3-minute pop song reached #1 and became one of the decade's most enduring classics. Written by Gary Bonner and Alan Gordon, it proved that sophisticated songwriting and pure pop pleasure could coexist. The song's memorable melody, tight harmonies, and infectious optimism made it impossible to ignore. Howard Kaylan and Mark Volman's vocals perfectly conveyed the song's message of romantic bliss, while the band's precise arrangement showed that pop music could be both simple and sophisticated. What makes Happy Together so special is its timeless quality. While many 60s songs sound dated today, this track could have been recorded in any decade and still sounded fresh. It represents the 60s at their most optimistic, when love really did seem like all you needed.
So happy together, we're happy.
These 15 songs remind us that the 1960s were about more than just the superstars we remember today. Every week brought new discoveries, new sounds, and new possibilities. These tracks captured specific moments in a decade of incredible change, from the early excitement of rock and roll's evolution to the psychedelic experimentation of the later years. What's remarkable about this collection is how it represents the true diversity of the 60s music scene. We had garage rockers from Boston singing about dirty water, psychedelic pioneers from Los Angeles creating sonic landscapes that still sound futuristic, and folk rockers from everywhere in between crafting songs that spoke to universal human experiences. The decade wasn't just about the British invasion or the folk revival. It was about countless artists pushing boundaries and creating something new. Each song tells a story, not just about the artists who created them, but about the times that inspired them. They're snapshots of a generation that believed music could change the world, and maybe it did. These weren't just 3-minute pop songs. They were statements of identity, rebellion, love, and hope, during one of the most turbulent and exciting decades in American history. The beauty of rediscovering these tracks is that they transport us back to a time when every song on the radio felt like a potential revelation. That sense of musical adventure and possibility is something we can still tap into today, whether we lived through it the first time or we're discovering it fresh. If these forgotten gems brought back some memories or introduced you to something new, hit that like button and subscribe for more musical archaeology. There are countless other treasures waiting to be rediscovered. And we're just getting started on this journey through the soundtrack of our lives.